I have a deep hatred towards current Capcom and that will probably never change. However, they have created one of my most beloved gaming franchises ever. Long before I started to hate Capcom, that is. And yes, Sengoku Basara is my favorite Musou franchise. Before I get to that though, let's tackle this game briefly, Devil Kings. This is a localized piece of shit version of Sengoku Basara that tried to capitalize on the Devil May Cry success back then. I mean, just look at the fucking font from both games. I will sprinkle some Devil Kings footage towards the end as a comparison, but let's focus mainly on Sengoku Basara. So, this is a Musou franchise, which means that you choose one character and slash down hundreds upon hundreds of enemies on the field available. And similar to Sengoku Musou, we know the franchise as Samurai Warriors, and yes, this franchise is 1 year older than Sengoku Basara. The story plays mostly in the Sengoku period in Japan. I don't want to dive too deep into this because it's a very long and complicated story, and I'm also not an expert on it, so you can take what I will say with a grain of salt. But if you know more about the subject than me, feel free to correct me in the comments, because honestly, the Sengoku period is actually quite fascinating. But to keep it short, the Sengoku period was a time where a massive civil war was going on in Japan, especially towards the middle and end of the 16th century, where feudal lords, also known as Sengoku daimyo, fought each other for the unification of Japan and gain power. One of the most well-known names, even in the West, might be Oda Nobunaga. He might be the most well-known mainly because he was the first that came the closest in unifying Japan. But no, he never managed to do it because he was betrayed and killed. Still, Nobunaga is known as one of the 3 great unifiers of Japan, him being the first. The second great unifier will not appear in this game, at least I did not see him, but the third will. Since we have that out of the way, these are our main contenders. Date Masamune, voiced by the legendary GOAT of all GOATs, Nakai Kazuya. Sanada Yukimura, Oda Nobunaga, Nohime, Takeda Shingen, and Uesugi Kenshin. But in the franchise, Masamune and Yukimura are the main characters. At least for a while, because the actual main character throughout the franchise tends to be Masamune. But you will see why once I tackle the next titles, but let's stick with just the first game for now. This game is loosely based on the actual events, however, and not 100% factual. Some of the little things in the game that match historical facts are, for example, Date Masamune having only one eye because supposedly he lost one of his eyes as a young man, and in this portrait he has both eyes because he actually requested it. And in the game he talks English, not English, English, sometimes because during the 7th century, I guess, he supposedly traded with Europeans. I assume that's why Capcom made him talk English in the game. Oda Nobunaga actually was betrayed and killed by Akechi Mitsuhide in Kyoto. The Honnoji temple actually was set on fire. Oda Nobunaga was the first daimyo to use guns during battle, which is why he uses one in the game. Nohime was his wife. Matsu was the wife of Maeda Toshie, and other little details in the game. But overall, the game tries to be its own thing and mix everything up a bit with time periods and some other stuff. For example, by the time Oda Nobunaga was killed, Uesugi Kenshin and Takeda Shingen were already dead. And yet, here they are. But, well, choose one of these characters and your goal is to unify Japan with that character by fighting various battles and defeating various feudal lords. This is the minimap and there are enemies all around. The red dots are commanders, some of which you have to defeat to progress, while the bigger red icons, let's say, are final bosses. But the more enemies you defeat, the more EXP you gain and level up. So yes, there is a certain RPG element in the game. You can also level up your weapons. Well, yeah, technically, actually, because the weapons only level up if you fight the same weapons by breaking chests or defeating commanders. However, you also get new weapons by doing, well, essentially the same thing, breaking chests and defeating commanders, or even by completing certain objectives. Every single level is structured differently and most levels have unique objectives you can clear. Don't have to, but you can. For example, this is Date Masamune's area and at first you have to defeat him in battle. After that, he flees by horse and you can chase him down trying to catch up and stop him before he gets to his main base. Or on this level, you can try to fight the strongest and most annoying opponent in the whole game, Honda Tadakatsu, probably the strongest and most loyal general of Tokugawa Ieyasu. Because if you defeat Tadakatsu, which can be quite hard to do, when you fight against Ieyasu later, he will not be there. But if you flee from Tadakatsu, then you will have to fight both at the same time in the end. However, once you defeat Ieyasu, then you won, so Tadakatsu will not matter. But again, Tadakatsu will give you a run for your money, no matter what you do. So every level has some objectives you can accomplish to get extra stuff, but in the end you don't have to do them to progress in the game. As you level up, you also learn new special moves you can use outside of your basic moves. You can change them in the menu before every battle starts, as you can also change your weapons and attachments. Well, if you can read Japanese, then you will know what these do, but I just kept these 3 attachments because, well, they enhance my stats. So during the battle, you have your HP bar, your Fury bar, the amount of enemies defeated in this battle and special moves that you can change on the fly. The HP bar should be pretty clear. If it's empty, then you lose the battle. Well, duh. But on each field, you will find onigiri all over the place to recover HP. Once your Fury bar is full, your character uses a Fury move that does a ton of damage, and each character has their own unique move. Especially Takeda Shingen's Fury is awesome because he actually screams like the man he is, and then meteors start falling down while you slash enemies apart. The amount of enemies defeated will help you gain EXP. The more you defeat, the more EXP you will get and level up faster. Yeah, I understand if it can get monotonous after a while, which is something I am also critical of in, well, Musou games in general, but I don't know what it is. There is something really special about Sengoku Basara that does not bore me one bit. Finally, you have your special moves that you can use during battle on the fly and combine it with your normal moves. These are the moves you can unlock as you level up and change before each battle. Pick 2 moves that suit your style and, well, go to town. Do I need to say anything about the graphics? Well, I think not, since you've been staring at it the whole time. Are there major glitches or something? I have not encountered any actually. Sure, there's the occasional clipping, but otherwise actually nothing. Interestingly, however, as you move on, the background doesn't pop in, but instead it fades in. That was quite interesting. Notice how the characters are drawn and how cool they actually look. If you wait for a while in the main menu and do nothing, then you will see 3 videos. The opening, which is awesome. This video introducing the characters, which is also awesome. And this one where the characters are in modern Japan for some reason. still awesome. Now, one major aspect of the franchise has always been the music, which is also awesome and adds a lot of personality, especially the opening, because the legendary TM Revolution did the intro of this game, and from this point onward he was the major artist of the franchise. Well, almost. One thing that makes Sengoku Basara awesome for me is the fact that the developers don't take the franchise too seriously. I mean, Takeda Shingen riding on this tree or whatever it is, Date Masamune using 6 fucking swords, or Sanada Yukimura flying on top of his weapons tells you that, to a degree, the franchise doesn't want to be taken too seriously. It wants to be cool, add a lot of personality and be over the top, not be what Sangoku Musou or even Sengoku Musou were, while sprinkling historical facts here and there. Sengoku Basara mainly wants to be fun, and in my view it accomplishes that with flying colors. Now let's look at a few things here, because now I'm gonna compare Sengoku Basara with Devil Kings and point out why Devil Kings, in comparison, is a piece of shit. First, look at the fucking names of the characters. I mean, Azure Dragon, Devil King, Scorpio? Fuck out of here, man! Now notice this. Why is Kasuga, named Venus in Devil Kings, one of the main 6 playable characters and Uesigi Kenshin is unlockable only? In Sengoku Basara is the other way around because, well, it actually makes sense. Takeda Shingen and Uesigi Kenshin had a major war back in the Sengoku period, and thus both are major characters in the game, as they should be, while Kasuga is a fictional character. No, she didn't exist back then, or at least there are no reports of her. My point is, why the fuck did the idiot localizers make Kenshin unlockable when he wasn't in the original? It doesn't make any sense. But you know what? There are 16 characters in total in Sengoku Basara. Alongside the main 6, there are Mori Ranmaru, Itsuki, Sarutobi Sasuke, voiced by the legendary Koyasu Takehito, Akechi Mitsuhide, Zabi, Maeda Toshie and his wife Matsu, Shimazu Yoshihiro, Kasuga, and Honda Tadakatsu. Tadakatsu is only unlockable if you beat the story with everyone else. However, in Devil Kings, as playable characters, they got rid of Maeda Toshie, Shimazu Yoshihiro, and Matsu for some reason. Now, the music would obviously be different because, well, licenses and shit like that. The menus are way more generic, the map isn't even Japan, but whatever the fuck this is, the Fury bar fills up way slower. You don't even have access to special moves from the start, among many other things. Essentially, Devil Kings is a piece of shit version. So this fucking excuse Kobayashi Hiroyuki gave here is a load of bullshit, which is why Devil Kings didn't do well and seemingly was unpopular at the time, deservingly so. Look, point is, if you want to play this awesome Musou game that has style, is a lot of fun, has cool characters, I mean, just look at Masamune Date and his fucking 6 swords, or how devilish Oda Nobunaga looks, doesn't take itself too seriously while still addressing many events that happened during the Sengoku period, and also hear the legendary voices of these absolute goats called Nakai Kazuya and Koyasu Takehito, despite the possible language barrier, I guess. At least if you don't know Japanese, then grab Sengoku Basara and don't even think about Devil Kings. Fuck that version.